There it is, the tree of life. The idea that all life is related by common descent, where the twigs are existing species and those produced in the past represent the succession of the extinct. The tree's great branches were once budding twigs, a connection between the past, present, and future, a representation of all extinct and living species with its ever-branching and beautiful ramifications. We are an evolution of those that came before. Let's see. It's a place well hidden. It's just below the above. The underworld is like a whole new frontier. Out of Date's impressed you made it this far, but there's still so much left to do. The end of the world is still on everyone's minds. You've beaten a path where you have the power to destroy or save everyone. Question is, what you'll do with that responsibility. He can sense that your heart beats steadily and acknowledges that the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Thinks it's important that you remember who you are and where you came from. Someone without knowledge of their history and origin is like a tree without roots. What do you think his are? He's the one that's called Out of Date, remember? Out of Date says there's a time for everything. And now there's no use thinking of the past, for it's gone. Think of the present, because that's where you are. It's time to set your priorities as the one who completes things. If you continue to do good, good will follow you. If the world really does end, there won't be anywhere to run. So, he's prepared for the worst, something he calls the Ark. Two sides to everything, but for him it would be devastating if you were forced to use the Ark to escape while the world crumbled. Out of Date says there's no clear record of the chain of events that changed the course of history and brought the world to its knees. He's found evidence on the Ark, records of a crisis, decades of contamination that permeated the ground and broke its inner core. The contamination disrupted what we now know as Ki energy, the life force that runs through all things, living and inanimate. He's been told the blight affected everything at a genetic level and turned our perception of normality on its head. It was only those that changed that avoided extinction, proving that the possibility for survival and renewal was real. He understands you are curious about the ship at the foot of the tree. He says it surfaced when the oil broke through the ground. The Ark predates the back-in days, and now, after years of study of the manuals he found inside, he believes he's figured the ship out. The Ark has room for 4 more, and he trusts you'll apply wisdom to your compassion and choose whom to save if the world comes to end. He'll keep the seats open, and you are free to invite up to 4 others to join you in the Ark in the event of a cataclysm. Out of Date says that from what he's heard, you've been busy. He says he appreciates what you've done so far, but unfortunately he's got urgent news from his friend Goop in the southeast. Out of Date says that even though he's unsure about your intentions, he hopes you'll support Goop. He says he'll point you in the right direction, but finding Goop and making sure he gets what he needs is up to you. That's the sound of impending doom. Out of Date's premonitions of imminent disaster are true. The Porky Puff needs to be handled. Out of Date says that Goop is worried now that the Southeast World Eater is stepping up its activity. He explains that Goop is working on a goo-gliding vessel in order to get to the World Eater, but needs help to get it done. Out of Date suggests that you should head southeast as fast as possible and see what you can do to help. He wonders what's on your mind. Didn't have much else to say, so no problem. Let's see. Gulpo ain't the easiest tongue, but I think he says he's happy to see a friendly face. Not too many of those around these days. Says it's good to see you again. He's Goop. You might remember him from the old days when he tried to teach you how to swim. Goop says you were always so righteous as a child, and he can still feel it, even at a distance. Goop says memories fade surprisingly fast. We are all pieces of what we remember. It's only to... He can't tell you much, as he didn't want to hear anything about it. He can't understand how someone could be so vicious, even though he knows there are reasons behind it. Goop says our memory keeps things for us and protects them until we are... He understands you've returned to face Lupa Lupin. That's the destiny you've been carrying within yourself. He says that the catastrophe back then didn't vanquish the good in you. It's still there, as bright as when you were a child. Now the time has come for you to... He thinks that's the right thing to do. It's only when you have forgiven that you'll find peace.
The shadows are getting so small.
Hear that?
misses the dark.
No one misses the dark.
You do every time you come at me.
Well, there's always next time.
Says life on the goo is wide open. You have so many choices of where to go. Some harder than others, of course. Which kind do you like? Best to stick close to the shore then, where the goo isn't so deep. That's like being close to your friends who can help when things go wrong. Can hardly believe the world is going to make it. Wonders what that's going to do to the goo. Thanks you for doing everything you could to de-goop the surf. Thinks the Myriad made a good match with you. You're both like sunshine on the surf. Claims he didn't say that out loud. But hey, back to the goo. Knows yesterday is already gone. It's what you do today and tomorrow. He can't leave the SUBNAUTICA station as the pollution has worn down the insulation of his suit. So you must salvage enough scrap to fix up his goo glide, starting with the old wreck box outside. Out of Date told him the undersurf was the epicenter of the contamination. This was where it struck hardest and inflicted the biggest change to the ecosystem. Sometimes you miss the sound of breaking waves, and sometimes you don't. You make this look simple. Just a few moves left. Make them count. So much damage. Listen to all that night noise. Just a few moves left. Make them count. Toxanol's offshore drilling caused oily matter to spread with the rain and contaminate both the groundwater and open surf. The long-lasting effect this had on the evolution of wildlife was, as we know now, the only reason we came to exist. You need to line up the switches so they match. Just a few moves left. Make them count. Good. That's enough electric current to initiate the actuators and activate the framework. Every day is a new chance to fulfill your destiny. He's got the goo glide functional. You'll have a pull hook and a salvage net, but no armor and an... There's debris floating around on the surf that might be blocking your path or needs to be towed. That means you'll need a device so you can get it out of your way. Goop says Gizmo's devised a cannon for the goo glide, but instead of bullets, it flips quacks, squeaky distractions for the triple attentive Porky Puff, which will give you time to get yourself in position. The best way to find quacks is to talk to Gulp. He has the bearings of the surf archipelago and knows where the quacks like to float. This means you'll have the privilege of visiting Gulp in the Sinky Dink. He'll be able to give you directions to where you'll find quacks. That's where he bobs. Gulp refuses to move from that barge, despite the fact it makes him barf. Goop's not sure, though, if it's the surf sickness or the radium syrup that causes it. This here is the Sinky Dink, home of Gulp, at the very least. Take this serious. Let's see. He's pretty sure he's heard of you before, although the details are maybe a little hazy. Points out that he's hungry too, but always thirsty for more. Says you look like you've got a powerful thirst to do something in this world. Good, bad, not really sure, but it seems like you've been drinking in your destiny and liking the flavor. Wonders if you could take the time to help a man slake his own thirst. You'd be doing him a liquid solid. You're a do-gooder, so you know you want to. Either way, he hopes you find a way to wet your whistle before the world comes to an awful dry end and leaves us all thirsting for more. Says life's like a mystery drink. Sometimes it's amazing, and sometimes it's awful. Sure, but that's nowhere near as quick and easy. Who wants to stop to chew? Wants to raise a glass to you getting the world fixed up a bit. Respects how you always try to help, no matter that the world's fate is hard to swallow. Something calm and soothing for your belly. But who cares about them? Says you'd be as bummed out as him if you came for the hot stuff. The Glugmocker, Nimhimbibble, and his favourite radium syrup. That one's even more intoxicating now, aged in truck tankers and all. Without a drink, and radium syrup especially, he can't move, much less think, as the power of his mind is directly proportioned to the quantity of syrup he swigs. That's why he's called Gulp. Says that's what gives your internals such a great glow. He wants you to know he has other interests too. He's the surf archipelago's self-proclaimed ornithologist, for example. There are other ways than a cold drink to relieve stress, even in these dark. Watching Pippi's flap is calming, but better yet are the ones you can look at and touch, like quacks. Squeezing them is a great way to relax. They're better at floating than flapping, so you should be able to net a few without growing yourself a pair of wings. Time for a wave ride, I think. The Quack Hollow. It's just lonely. Ready to live at your own speed. Don't flinch away from this. It's your moment. You need to focus. Couldn't just be open, eh? teach him a lesson. This thing chatters death. Biohazard makes your skin crawl. You need to line up the switches so they match. Just a few moves left. Make them count. Good. That's enough electric current to initiate the actuators and activate the framework. That's enough quacks to sustain the Googlide flipper with infinite ammunition. Goop says he was there when the Porky Puff took Out-of-Date's leg, so this World Eater has made it personal. After that, Out-of-Date started using his head instead of his legs and came up with the plan on how to best make a stand against the World Eaters, and it wasn't by foot. That's how he got tasked with rebuilding the Googlide. He seems happy to talk. Says you should take it easy. He seems happy to talk. Didn't have much else to say, so no problem. It's the Porky Puff nibbling bug. It took quite a liking to the crunchy stuff after munching down Out-of-Date's leg. playing with quacks. Opportunity slide. He thanks you for dealing with another world eater. You're halfway there. He's got word out of date spotted Lupin and has a feeling your time has come. He hopes you're up for it. Even though you're good-hearted, you shouldn't miss this opportunity to confront the predator. Just head back to the foot of the tree. Fingers crossed Lupin will stay put until you're there. Got word you found the greatest glider of all, an Ark, and it's all good to go. Can't imagine how that would feel, to zoom so fast. Funny that you found an Ark when you don't need to go anywhere in it. The world's still going to be here. Proud of you for thinking about helping before escaping, either way. Wonders if there are any open seats left in that fancy Ark glider of yours.
So, what?
Why?
If you want to...
But you know you...
Feels thrilled to snag a seat in your Ark. Can't wait to glide through the skies. Goop knows he's repeating himself, but can't help talking to you. So, says you covered the important things already.